So we will start revision of soil now. So kids, let's divide this chapter into two groups. Types of soil, soil erosion, soil conservation. Remember one thing, to know one thing very well, need to conserve soil. This give reason can come for 3 mark also as an independent standalone question also for 3 mark. Now, you should know the difference between in situ and transported soil. Remember one thing, transported soil will not have well-defined profile, in situ soil will have. Out of all these 4, only alluvial is the one which is transported, rest all of them are in situ. Now, you should also know the meaning of soil fertility and the characteristics of a fertile soil. Which is the organic matter present in soil? Humus. Now, alluvial fertile soil. Rich in limpa, lime, iron, magnesium, potash, alumina. Is it in situ or transported? Transported. Which is it is the largest group of soil in India. Full northern plain is made up of alluvial soil. Location wise, there are 3 places where there is alluvial soil. Inland, coastal, deltaic. Kids, remember to learn distinguish between khadar and bhangar, which are the categories of alluvial soil on the basis of their age. Learn that very well. Distinguish of khadar and bhangar. Very important. Alluvial soil ka color varies. Texture varies. Color varies from faint yellow brown to dark in color. What does the color of alluvial soil depend on? The time taken for maturity, its texture, and it also depends upon how much deposition has been there. It's rich. It is also called as riverine soil, as it is formed in the river basin. It is loamy, mixture of silt, sand, clay. It has humus but not everywhere. Only in lower Ganga valley it has humus. It is light and porous, so easily tillable. It is best for growing all kharif and rabi crops. When it becomes dry, it is alkaline. So it's rich in lime, iron, magnesium, potash, alumina. And when it is dry, it becomes alkaline. These both are chemical properties of alluvial soil. Its texture varies as it is a transported soil. In the upper course, it will be coarse. But as it comes down, it gets finer. That's why its texture varies. And this is a very important key reason why alluvial soil varies in its texture or why it varies in its color. But if they say why is it best for growing all the crops, you mention about the nutrient, light and porous, loamy, every good point you should mention. Then we have, also remember the food crop and cash crop that grows best in alluvial soil. So jute, sugarcane, cotton are the best cash crop, and the others are food crops. So remember the crops according to the category. I have given in my notes book also very well like that. So you should know which are the food crops, which are the cash crops. Okay. So alluvial soil को लेके common key reason ये आ सकता है. Why it is easily tillable, why it varies in texture, why it is fertile. Second we have is black soil. Deccan lava trap, very common, as it is formed by weathering of lava rocks. And full Deccan plateau is made up of, almost Deccan plateau is made up of lava rocks. It is very commonly found in main 2 states, Gujarat and Maharashtra. Fine texture, black in color, also called as black cotton soil and regular soil. Also black soil is clayey. The key word of the black soil is clayey, so highly water retentive. That is the reason it has moisture stored in its subsoil throughout the year, and that makes it suitable for dry farming. Why is black soil suitable for dry farming? Clayey, water retentive, has moisture stored in its subsoil throughout the year. Okay, black soil is also suitable, is also called as self-ploughed. Again, a very important key reason. That's because it is clayey. So when it is dry, it shrinks, develops crack, help in air circulation, and makes it self-ploughed. Don't forget to use the word clay in your answer. So why it is suitable for dry farming, why it is self-ploughed, these both are very common. Give reason with respect to black soil. However, it is difficult to plow black soil during monsoon. Why? Because it is clay. During monsoon, with water, it expands and becomes sticky, making it difficult to plow. Also, it is rich in three main nutrients, lime, iron, magnesium. It doesn't have humus. So, if they ask comparison of alluvial and black soil, transported soil, residual soil. It varies in color, it is black in color. It is loamy, it is clay. It varies in texture, it is fine texture. Easily we got comparison point. Then we have red soil formed by second largest group of soil. Please make a note of it. Second largest group of soil, and also learn the meaning of dry farming, which is given in your textbook. Second largest group of soil in India is red soil, formed by prolonged weathering of ancient crystalline metamorphic rocks by rainfall. Red soil is red in color due to presence of iron oxide. Due to presence of iron oxide. Now, red soil is deficient in all the nutrients except for iron oxide. It is deficient in humus. It is loose, porous. It is not water retentive. It contains soluble salt in small amount. Its pH value is 6.6 to 8. The only good thing about red soil is it responds very well to fertilizer. And you have to add fertilizer if you want to use red soil. Also, red soil needs constant irrigation support. It's not red in color everywhere because of the climatic condition and the nature of the parent rock. In fact, when it is in hydrated form, it is yellow in color. Again, you need to know food crop, cash crop for all the four soils. Then we have laterite soil. Okay, red soil is also residual soil. Laterite soil is formed by atmospheric weathering of rocks by alternate wet and dry period, and then in the formation you need to also explain about leaching. So don't forget to write about leaching in the formation of laterite soil along with atmospheric weathering of the rocks by alternate wet and dry period. Laterite soil is very common in tropical monsoon countries. It goes through leaching. That is why it is acidic as the alkalines are leached. Laterite soil is deficient in humus because during dry period, when there is high temperature, a lot of bacteria grow in the soil, and bacteria will remove all the humus content from the soil. Laterite soil is also red in color due to presence of iron oxide. It is rich in alumina also. Rest all the things gets leached. It is coarse and friable, not water retentive, not rich in humus, not rich in any of the nutrients except for iron oxide and alumina. It is used to make bricks. It is used in construction industry. When it is dry, it hardens, and because of iron and alumina, it is also useful for bricks. And since it is, when it is dry, it becomes hard. That also makes it suitable to make bricks. But again, laterite soil, if you add fertilizer, it will respond very well. In fact, by adding fertilizer, we are able to grow tea, coffee, cashew nut, tapioca, paddy. Paddy is grown in the lower elevation. Also now, very important point with respect to laterite soil. Upland laterite, lowland laterite, दो laterite है. If laterite soil is formed on the top of the mountain, upland laterite, which will be residual. When it is brought down by streams or river, it is lowland laterite, which will be transported. See, originally laterite soil is residual, but sometimes it will exhibit the property of both. Sometimes it will exhibit the property of both if it is upland and lowland. Also, when you learn laterite soil, make sure to remember upland laterite में कौन सा crop grow होता है, lowland laterite में कौन सा crop grow होता है. Don't forget that. Laterite soil का सबसे commonly question है leaching and why is laterite soil infertile. एक मार्क के लिए एक पॉइंट नहीं लिखना है, हमें 3-4 पॉइंट लिख के आने हैं. And why is laterite soil used for making bricks or for construction purpose? These are very important points with respect to laterite soil. So you must have seen lot of similarity between red and laterite soil, and also याद रखना laterite soil mountain के summit पे है, top पे है. On the summit of Sahyadri hills, on the summit of Rajmahal hills, mountain के tops पे ज़्यादा करके we have laterite soil. It is best for growing the beverage crop like tea and coffee. So red and laterite soil का similarity, dissimilarity I have given in my notes very well. So please make sure to write that. Now the second part of the chapter talks about erosion and conservation. Of course, you need to know the definition of soil erosion and conservation very well. Now, 3 human activities mainly that leads to soil erosion: deforestation, overgrazing. Overgrazing is very common in Rajasthan, and faulty cultivation practices like slash and burn or overuse of chemical fertilizer. Okay, that is human activity. Soil erosion by wind is very common in desert. Why? Because in desert there is lack of vegetation. So the velocity, use the word velocity. Velocity of the wind is very high. It can easily blow away particles of sand which are loose and light and thus cause soil erosion. If you want to prevent soil erosion in desert, besides afforestation, see afforestation is a soil conservation method everywhere. उसको छोड़ के और हम क्या यूज कर सकते हैं? वेरी कॉमन शेल्टर बेल्ट एंड स्ट्रिप क्रॉपिंग. ना किड्स इस पे गिव रीजन आएगा. Why shelter belt should be practiced in arid regions or desert region? Why strip cropping should be practiced in arid region or desert region? There is a way to write this give reason. Now listen to me carefully. कभी भी कोई भी क्वेश्चन आया कि ये मेथड यहाँ क्यों यूज होता है? Why is this method used in this area? First point, explain that method. For example, why is shelter belt practiced in desert? Shelter belt involve growing of trees along the edges of the farm. तो ये मैंने मीनिंग एक्सप्लेन कर दिया. अभी सेकेंड उसकी वजह से हेल्प कैसे मिलता है? Thus this trees grown along the edges will act as a barrier and will slow down the velocity or impact of wind and thus prevent soil erosion. This is how you will explain your answer. Any method. Why terrace farming is practiced on mountain tops, mountain slope? Terrace farming involves farming in the form of terraces or step formation. This method will slow down, they will act as a bund and they will slow down the velocity of the flowing water. So desert पे हम लोग जो भी grow करते, they act as a barrier and they slow down the velocity of wind. Mountain पे हम लोग जो भी method करते, they act as a bund and they slow down the velocity of the flowing water. Always explain your answer so precisely that character actually has no chance that they will cut your marks in that. Okay, so shelter belt and strip cropping are very common in desert. Now, see water का soil erosion बहुत सारे जगह पे देखने मिलता है. Like on the bank of the river also you will see soil erosion by water because of the flooding. On the mountain slope because of heavy rainfall you will see soil erosion by water, sheet erosion, reel erosion, gully erosion are common example of that. Chambal Valley is today full of gullies. Then coastal areas will be also affected by soil erosion because of the action of waves and tides. And I have given I think one table on page 88 in my notes book. That table explains all the type of erosion, causes of erosion and soil conservation with respect to area. Make sure to learn that table very well. End of the soil chapter में दिया है मैंने. Very very well the table is given. Just explain everything in detail about it. So you should know area wise why soil erosion caused and what method are we going to follow. Mountain slope पे अगर method पूछेंगे afforestation, shelter belt, terrace farming, contour plowing. Coastal area पे पूछेंगे soil conservation method, then I will say what? Mangroves. If they say what soil conservation method will you follow in the river bank? Construction of dams. So afforestation तो सब जगह पे होता है but ये ज़्यादा specific. In Chambal Valley, plugging of gullies. So these are the soil conservation method. Soil conservation method पे topic आता है, so learn that very well. And खास करके board question answers में go through करो how these questions of soil conservation and soil erosion they have asked. That will really give you a very good idea to understand कि ये question कैसे पूछा जाता है. ठीक है? So that is about soil and yes, again I'm repeating, don't go by marks, give reason. At times for 1 mark you might end up explaining in detail. Okay, now very important thing, whenever you compare any two soil, A, don't compare on the basis of the crops grown. B, don't compare on the basis of location. C, Avoid comparing on the basis of formation. When we have no other point to write, then only we will compare on the basis of formation. तो कंपेयर करना कौन से पॉइंट पे है? कलर, टेक्सचर, न्यूट्रिएंट्स. If you write fertile and infertile, these points will not be sufficient. If you say black soil is fertile and red soil is infertile, then support that answer. Black soil is fertile as it is clay, rich in nutrient. Red soil is infertile as it is deficient. Then you can write this point of comparison. Otherwise, only fertile, infertile नहीं लिखना है. So these are the comparisons point to be careful about. I have seen so many times kids are comparing on the basis of crops and location. Don't do that. Okay? So please be very careful in comparison and avoid writing negative points. Sure. Thank you.